Now that 2025 has come to an end, we sit here and we talk about what kind of year did WWE have. In this video, I'm going to break down the top 5 worst matches of 2025 in WWE. Now, you guys have been watching a lot of my content. You guys know exactly the kind of year WWE's had. If we're comparing this year to last year to 2023, it's almost like this is a different company that we're speaking of. It's almost like the company that created one of the most historic storyline sagas ever all of a sudden vanished. And it's funny because it's not like when this year started, like from the get go, it was like apparent to us like this year's gonna suck. Like it's not like we saw it coming because we're looking at the Royal Rumble, we're looking at WrestleMania season, and we're thinking, you know, things are looking pretty up for the company. Cena's in his final retirement year. They're gonna do something great with that. I mean, the fact that we had, Cody Rhodes, The Rock, John Cena turn heel. I mean, there was a lot of promise, at least at the very beginning of the year. And then as the year went on, things just started to take a turn. So it's not like from the start we knew. It was almost like this year had its ups and then it had its downs. And we're capping it off now, really talking about what were some of the worst matches and some of the worst builds that we saw leading up to these matches for 2025. So I want to go through this because this is my personal pick, okay? The ones that I've listed here. After watching all the matches, again, I'm sure there's a lot of other matches out there that you've seen, not just in WWE but in other promotions, and you would rate them. You might rate them on your list, but this is my list for WWE. So ranked at number 5, the fifth worst match this year was Cody Rhodes versus John Cena, main event of WrestleMania 41. We've talked about this match before, and the build up to this was interesting. It had its ups. We were excited because we were thinking, this could rival sort of the main event we saw the night, the main event at WrestleMania 40 that we saw with Roman Reigns and Cody. I mean, that was an incredible final conclusion to a 4-year long title reign. And we were sitting here thinking, well, you know what? They might be able to rival that. They might be able to do something even greater now that The Rock is back and doing what he's doing, and he's got John Cena, around his thumb, and he's kind of like making the next move. But we saw as soon as that PLE after Elimination Chamber, like after that was over, we were left disappointed, and we still had hope, like up until WrestleMania, because Triple H is known for, like there's downs, but then there's ups as well, and he's known for that. And when we saw WrestleMania, we're sitting here thinking, what kind of main event was that? I mean, Cena wrestled a very slow, very slow pace, and his reasoning, if you watch the Chris Van Vliet show and you listen to what he was talking about, he said that it was deliberate. It was meant to make the fans really hate him for ruining wrestling. Well, really, what he was doing is he was wrestling a style that it almost looked like it was out of place for him, because the way that he was wrestling, you could see like he was pretending to act, like he was acting, but he wasn't acting like how he would if he was a heel. He was trying to pretend to be somebody else. Like you could see like his facial expressions, even the way that he was articulating his promo. He had some great promo work, but it was almost like this is not John Cena, like this is not the Cena, the bad guy version of Cena. We don't think like he actually hates us. We don't really think that. And that's kind of what threw it off. So I think the build had a little there was a disappointment there, but it disappointed even more when the match itself concluded the way it concluded, having a sort of, you know, a match that was as slow as that match, and then having Travis Scott come out with, again, no explanation. I'm assuming that was supposed to be The Rock's position, and The Rock wasn't there. They brought out Travis Scott. He took like 5 minutes to get down to the ring. Everybody had to like stare and wait at, like, hurry up, come on, you know. So it was not a very good main event, and the reason it's so, like, it's criticized to that level is because this is a WrestleMania main event that we're talking about. So that's a big deal. So that's my number 5. Number 4 is the Clash in Paris match between Becky Lynch and Nikki Bella. Here's the thing. Do I despise Nikki Bella? You see, the answer to that is no, I do not. What I wish here was she would work a little bit more on being less rusty in the ring. Okay, being a little bit more smoother, a little more cleaner. Okay, we could see that her time off, it was showing in this match. Okay, there was a lot of missed spots. There was a lot of sloppy execution. And here's the thing. Fans were booing Nikki at the end of this match. Watch the match over and watch it, again, I don't really want you to watch it because it's part of my worst matches of the year list, but if you really want to see what I'm talking about, take a look at the reaction she's getting throughout the match. As a babyface, she's being booed. And this was, again, it was not a well put together match. I think there was one spot where she was going for I think it was like a kick off the top rope. Like she was basically standing backwards so she couldn't see. She jumped, tried to land a kick, and she missed. And Becky, I guess she went in for the cover because that's what you do. But it was not timed well. So that's just an example. Now, of course, in a situation like that, you have to have both superstars on the same page. So I understand maybe Becky's positioning was off too. But because of that, I just felt like they didn't mesh well together in the ring. I'm just saying, from what I had seen, that this wasn't a very good match. And the only reason we remember it is because of some of these very, very poorly executed moves. So, again, I don't despise Nikki. Like, I don't, like, there's, like, I think she can play a pretty good heel. I just feel like if she had worked a little bit more on her in-ring ability, she could kind of blend in better with the current regime of female superstars on the roster. Now, moving into number 3 on the list, I don't know if you guys remember this match, but I had to dig for this one. Jey Uso versus Austin Theory, and this was on the March 17th edition of Monday Night Raw. Again, it was a Raw taping. It was a middle-of-the-road show, not very exciting, even though we're leading up to WrestleMania season. Not very exciting, and this is where they were doing sort of the the tour, like the overseas tour. So the only thing that was amazing was the crowd during these shows. But this match, it was intended to build Jay's momentum. Okay, but there was a series of missed opportunity, and there was a viral failed dive that Jay took that ruined his credibility. If you watch it back again, you will see that when he was running out to the outside to the ring through the ropes, it was a dive that just, it did not look good. There were concerns that, leading up to WrestleMania, can Jay handle the heat? Can Jay handle the pressure? Because we saw this in WWE Unreal. Triple H wanted to strap a rocket around Jey Uso because he wanted this man to essentially be ready to hold the world title. And we saw throughout, like, WrestleMania, the build, Jey Uso, his build up to this match wasn't that great. He was stumbling over his words. He was gassed out coming out to the ring, yeeting for 10 minutes straight. And, of course, the live crowd loves it, but you got to look at it and say, is the performer able to manage everything else that he must be doing that night? Is he able to take care of it, or is he getting gassed out too soon and he's not able to perform in the ring? That's an issue. Okay, there was a reason why guys like Ultimate Warrior back in the day had very short matches, because you get, Goldberg having short matches. These guys, blow themselves up before they come into the ring, and then they come to the ring, and then, it's just like they would have been better off just, not having that entrance. But of course, it is for selling tickets. I understand that point. Again, this match was horrendous. I don't suggest you go watch it, but in case you're wondering, you want to see that dive that I'm talking about, you can go check it out. It's the Raw March 17th edition. It was the Jey Uso versus Austin Theory match. Now we move on to the top 2 worst matches of this year. Number 2, this was recent. You guys will probably remember this. I hate that I have to bring it up again because I would rather not bring this up. It was the Tiffany Stratton versus Nia Jax versus Jade Cargill triple threat match on SmackDown. The crowd was not into this match. They simply couldn't care less about this match. Jade Cargill, again, I don't want to sit here and be the guy that is hating like a lot of the internet wrestling community is. Just to hate, I'm not going to do that. Jade Cargill has improved, and she still has ways to go. Now, I'm talking like right now we're in December. This match happened in September. So at that time, she was still working on things. And quite frankly, she still is. When this match took place, I remember there was a spot in the match where I believe something like around her eye, like there was a spot that she took, and it was a bump to the ring steps, and I don't know, I guess it went wrong somehow, and she busted her eye, because then she came up and like she was like right in the camera, like screaming at the camera, and you could see like the blood coming. You're like, how did that happen so fast? So that was a pretty dangerous move. But then you remember in this matchup, there was a spot like the referee. So I believe it was Tiffany Stratton was going for the pinfall on Nia Jax. I think she hit a moonsault or something of that nature, and it was a 1-2, and then she stopped, and then she looked back at the ring announcer, I guess, and then she looked back at Nia Jax. She was saying something to Nia Jax, and then Nia Jax all of a sudden does this, kicks out, and the match continues. And we found out that in her earpiece, they were calling for her not to count the 3. So basically what happened, it looked like just a terrible spot, because the referee is supposed to treat this like a shoot, like a real fight. Like if your shoulders are to the mat and you're not moving, tough luck. 1, 2, 3, match is over. Title changes hands, but that's what I'm supposed to do. We saw this in NXT recently with the women's title that had changed hands, and the referee there. But personally, I think the ref did a great job. That is what you're supposed to do. It is not the ref's job to lift your shoulders up because you're lying, on the mat. That's your job as the performer. Their job is to count the 3, or to ring the bell if you're tapping out. If they see a tap out, that's literally what they're doing. So in this situation, I know at first people were saying like, "Oh, you got to fire the ref because the ref wasn't doing her job. The ref is new. The ref is a rookie. How could she do this?" And then there was news that broke that said that she was being told not to count the 3 as she was counting the 3. So imagine that kind of pressure in front of a live audience. Imagine hearing that and thinking like, "Oh, what am I supposed to do here?" So It was not the best match. I mean, Tiffany Stratton, I think, is the best wrestler out of all three of them. Nia Jax has improved. Jade Cargill still has ways to go. Overall, this wasn't a good match, and that's why it's number 2. This, I think, I think this match is going to be on a lot of people's number 1 worst match of the year. And we spoke about him already. He actually earned, he was number 3 too, and he's number 1 as well. Gunther versus Jey Uso at WrestleMania 41. The reason why this match I felt was the worst for me is not necessarily because of the wrestling, but it was because of the push and the opportunity, the wasted opportunity. Jey Uso, up until this point, as I said, the Austin Theory match was an example of this. He was not performing well. He was not. Up until WrestleMania, he was not performing well. When we got to the match, I think this was the opening match on night 1, was it? To have a world title match open the show, I mean, that's kind of, again, it's kind of odd. But just overall, like the lackluster build to the matchup itself, which was underwhelming, having Gunther tap out to Jey Uso, again, it wasn't like the chokehold was on for a long time. He tapped out, kind of made him, I guess, look a little bit weak. And just overall, it left a sour taste in people's mouths. I mean, we just didn't feel like cool, Jey won the title, but it wasn't like a yes moment, like amazing. Like we knew that it was likely to happen, but we just wished that the build-up was better. And the truth is, Jey Uso, very likely, he's not somebody who I don't see him coming back into the world title picture. Like, I don't see that because of the track record of his performance this year. I mean, he might be on a lot of people's worst matches of all time. I should say of 2025, and he might be on there more than once. Unless he's with Jimmy Uso, and we're talking about a tag team match, he's probably not on anybody's greatest matches of 2025 list. Because as a singles wrestler, he's more of an entertainer than he is an in-ring competitor. And it's not a knock, because there's a lot of guys out there like that. I mean, Hulk Hogan wasn't necessarily known for his wrestling ability. Ultimate Warrior wasn't known for his wrestling ability. John Cena, although he's improved, originally wasn't really known for his wrestling ability. It was all character-based. Now, the thing with Jey is, like, his character is, to some people it's not very, like, it's very cringe. They don't really like it. But it's not really meant for you. Like, if you're somebody, like, of my age, and you're more of a fan of, let's say, guys like Gunther, maybe you're a fan of LA Knight, maybe you're a fan of, CM Punk, you may not latch on to Jey Uso, because Jey Uso's audience is a bit different. But even with that, I mean, like, John Cena was for the kids, and he still had stellar matches. He still had stellar builds. I mean, look at the matches he had with The Rock, CM Punk, Shawn Michaels. I mean, he had great matches. So it's not to say that Jey Uso, all of a sudden, because he is somebody who whose character you don't resonate with, that he still can't have good matches in the ring. But he hasn't had a lot of them, so we have to sit here and make claim to that. I think he's probably the wrestler who has had, like, the biggest downfall from where he was to where he is now, because he went from winning the Rumble World Title picture, and now he's down to, back to tag team. And again, there's no issues with that, but I think the Jey Uso experiment is over. I think this year we figured that out. So that's my top 5. And the truth is, like, I felt as if these are matches that, me personally, when I was watching them, I literally had to sit there and force myself to watch it. And there was points where I was like, I just want to tune out. I want to go do something else, but I have to watch it for the sake of seeing it through. And after I saw it, I could say, like, these definitively are my top 5 worst matches of 2025. So I'd like to hear your guys' comments in the comments below. Let me know What matches do you feel were your top 5 worst matches of 2025? I'm going to be dropping a video that's going to be talking about the top 5 greatest matches of 2025, and that's my personal opinion in WWE. So stay tuned for that video next. Thank you guys for the support, engagement. Make sure to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and I will see you in the next video. Take care.